one.
Ready, set, go!
Yeah, whole team on the loose. Kick it up like Kung Fu. Untamed, yeah, cool. Running plays like who knew. Hella fast when I slide through. You would've thought we was in a zoo. Engine roar like a lion do. Yeah, devil, I'm a damn fool. Switching lanes, hanging out the roof. Tires screech when I bend the corner. All you see is a big poof. Then I'm leaving my initials. Street marks, I'm official. Taking off like a missile. You can hear the wind whistle.
Yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Hey, yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Ready, set, go! 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 Ready, set, go! 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 Yeah, ready, set, go!
Get into it like pronto, get hit with a combo. Do a large, real jumbo, so dirty like gumbo. Big money in a two-seater, hair blowing, you see her. I got her, you need her. Never would I wanna be and I've been grinding all of my life. Now look at my sights, mile high, I'm fly. Ride till I die. Look how I arrive, like the president inside. See the look in their eyes.
I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Ready, set, go!
Ready, set, go, let's go. Go, on your mark, go. Yeah,
Ready, set, go!
ready, set, go. On your mark, go, let's go. Go,
Yeah, ready, set, go!
Yeah, and you know I like big coupes. Two-seater with the missing roof. Run the meter to a can't boo. I'm the best, got them all mute. Break the bank, talking big loot. Business talk, making big moves. Full tank, no I can't lose. Left them in the dust confused. All I ever did was break rules. Full throttle, I don't like cruise. Guess I got a couple screws loose. Son devil, I'm a damn fool. Ain't no telling what I might do. Taking off like a missile. Street marks, I'm official.
Yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Hey, yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Ready, set, go!
ready, set, go, let's go. Go, on your mark, go. Yeah,
Ready, set, go!
ready, set, go. On your mark, go, let's go. Go,
Yeah, ready, set, go! Go!
Wait a second, guys.
Go! Go! Yeah, ready, set, go! 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 Yeah, ready, set, go! Go! Yeah, ready, set, go!
Wait a second, something's going on. Can you see, are we on YouTube? Okay, hold on. What's the title say? This might be an error.
Eyewitnesses to Charlie Kirk assassination and everything we know.
Okay.
Eyewitnesses to Charlie Kirk.
All right, are we live? Did it work? Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing it here on my YouTube, but whatever. As long as you guys see it, we're good. Excellent. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardinellis. If there's any question, we're doing this live. There is your answer right there. I am joined today in the studio by Jade I'm going to botch your name. Aubuchon?
Yeah, that's actually way closer than most people get it. That's
Okay. Awesome. Oh, wait. No, I didn't have you there. Now say it.
Yes, that is correct. It is Jade Aubuchon. It depends on how French you want to
Oh,
pronounce it.
crap. I did it wrong the second time, too. Here we go. Third time's a charm. Now say it.
Jade Aubuchon.
Yes, Jade Aubuchon from KHTS News. Oh, boy. I promise that we're professionals. And I am joined now via Zoom by, fortunately for us, because we're going to be able to clarify a lot of things, but unfortunately for them, by two eyewitnesses to the Charlie Kirk assassination. And that's going to be the subject of our live stream today. We're going to be saying everything that we know exactly and everything we don't know exactly. Looks like we just lost Liz there, but we'll get her back as soon as possible. She was with us earlier on KHTS. Me and Jade all day long have been going over what's been happening today and making sure that we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's. So we're coming to you guys now with all the best information that we have. just to start things off before we toss to our friend Chandler here from, what's the name of your channel, Chandler? It's Restored Truth, right?
Restored Truth, yep.
Okay, excellent. And before we toss to Chandler, who's going to give us his firsthand account, anybody that hasn't been aware yet or doesn't know what's going on, here's the shoot news, the basic news. Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist, has been fatally shot in what everybody is now agreeing is a political assassination. It's been so stated by Spencer Cox, and it's just obvious what it is and who he is. He was fatally shot, unfortunately, while giving, I wouldn't say a speech or a discourse, a Q&A, that's a much better term. That's part of his Prove Me Wrong series on Utah Valley University. I'm just going to play this clip for you all right now. It's been heavily edited so that it's not that graphic, but this was indeed actually taken by an eyewitness that'll be joining us later on in the broadcast. Here we go.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
So as you can see, by the way, that background noise is not us, that's them. Pandemonium breaks out, everybody's leaving, everybody's fleeing. And unfortunately, we found out Charlie Kirk was indeed taken to a hospital. However, those of us that saw, you actually can choose a different one, Jade. Sorry, that's in a, it's the, does that one work?
It does. This one does work.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm messing around behind the scenes.
Okay, cool. He did indeed make it to a hospital, but unfortunately he was indeed pronounced deceased there. And the worst came true for those of us that have been covering this all day. So it's now a black stain that is probably going to be a black cloud that's hanging over Utah Valley University for a long time. Anybody that's familiar with Utah Valley University knows it's the largest educational institution in Utah at this point right now, sporting about 45,000 students. 15,000 we found out are concurrently enrolled high school people. So before we go over all the details of clarifying what's true and what's not true, I'm just going to toss really fast. I don't see Liz, but I see our boy Chandler here. Chandler, do you want to tell us everything that happened just from your vantage point? Oh, I think you're
Hello?
there you are. Yeah, you were muted there. So yeah, tell us everything that happened from your vantage point, my man.
Yeah, so I got there, super exciting. There was holy cow, this is before he walked in underneath where his car was that he had placed where his booth was behind him. He was sitting out in the back, so I was able to go give him a fist bump and say hi to him, and it was really cool. He was super nice. And then there was two lines. There was two lines on either side of him that you could go join. So I went down on, if he was sitting here, I was on his right side. And I was like 10 to 15 feet away in line waiting to ask him a question. And super exciting. He was saying stuff to the first person, which was my friend that talked to him. And the crowd was electric. The crowd was good. It was enjoyable. And then all of a sudden we hear what sounded like a firecracker, like noise. It wasn't super loud. And then I'm looking at Charlie Kirk and I just see his body slowly fall back, and I hit the floor, and then I start pushing everyone to get out of the way, to run underneath the bridge where he was, why they took him in the back. And yeah, I was right next to him. I was excited to talk to him, and sad to say that his life was taken, but yeah, it was right there in front of my eyes. It was, I don't know how to describe it, but
how was it?
I was right there.
Yeah, what'd you say, Jade?
How was it getting out of there? I mean, I know that there was probably a lot of panic, and I feel like there's always stories from people when they're trying to get out of emergencies like this. There tends to be a bit of a crush because nobody has any idea what's going on, and they're all trying to escape at the same time. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So my first, what I saw first initial reaction is everyone hit the floor because I guess the cops and everyone were saying, get down, get down. And my instinct was to get down, but also tell everyone to run underneath the bridge because I wasn't up on the stands. I was closer to where he was. And so we could have easily just ran right underneath where the fountains are at UVU, where his getaway car was. And so we pushed the gate open and we were just there's a bunch of dudes just telling everyone to run out from under there after like 5 seconds of everyone dropping the floor. So it was pretty hectic for, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes there. That it was probably like 10 seconds. People didn't realize because it wasn't loud. It hit Charlie Kirk. And then like a couple seconds later went by and then everyone realized what actually just happened. And then it kind of just slowly blew up from there.
How long do you think it took before you realized what had actually just happened?
I realized immediately, well, probably like a couple seconds, because I was looking at him and I saw him it was like slow motion in my head. I saw the blood and he clenched his subconscious brain, or the stems of his brain clenched to the mic, and he just fell off his chair. And the moment I saw him fall off the chair, I was like, oh, he's done for sure.
Jeez. Yeah, you've been witness to a political assassination. Holy smoke. I'm sure when the adrenaline subsides, this is going to be one hell of a day for you. Leading up to it, you're a student at UVU, am I correct?
No, I flew in. I was here for a wedding. I have a couple friends that I went to UVU in high school. I did high school credits at UVU, but when I was in high school.
Okay, so you're familiar with the campus though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was basically in that main quad, which is kind of behind that big student pathway for anybody that is familiar with Utah Valley University, where oftentimes people recruiting from everything from summer sales to showing off whatever their cool, whatever their cool new invention is or whatever.
No, they're tuning it, but I'm not on air.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can hear you, Liz.
Sorry. I didn't know I was on. Can you mute me or can I mute myself?
You probably should mute yourself. Yeah. So anyway.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. So people that are familiar with Utah Valley campus will be familiar with it. This is the main walkway by the student center and surrounded by all kinds of vantage points. We know that there was kind of like a protest email that had been sent out earlier, got supposedly some 6,000 signatures. That's probably not hard to come by on any university to dig up 6,000 signatures against Charlie Kirk. Did you have any kind of sense that there was anything above a normal animus for him before he showed up, Chandler?
No, I thought it was like people were excited, though they might have not been fans of him. I didn't necessarily run into people that were super against it when I was there, but I had friends that talked to me about how there was some protests amongst like a couple hours before it started of people just like throwing shade at him, saying how horrific his political agenda is. And so there was a little bit, but I didn't see much, even though there was people from all walks of life and all political perspectives there. It was a good atmosphere for the very beginning. It was very exciting, and I didn't really interact with anyone. There was a couple corners of people that were like super disdain from him, but they weren't super like relevant to the crowd, if that makes sense.
Okay.
They're just kind of huddled.
And did you see this first individual that they detained? We spoke to multiple. Talk to me a little bit about that and what you saw. Yeah.
So when we hit the floor, I went behind where they took Charlie's body to his getaway car. And as I went behind, there was cops that ran up and was like there was like me and probably like, I don't know, 20 others that were trying to flee from the scene. And they surrounded us saying, don't move, with their guns out. And then they grabbed this older gentleman and like put him in handcuffs. And he was right next to me. And everyone thought he was the perpetrator. Everyone thought he was the gunman. And he was right there, and he was basically saying like, shoot me. Like it was weird. And so that's why everyone was thinking it was him, just how the police were handling the situation with him. and everyone was like crowding around him, like yelling at him, being like, what the heck? Like, why would you ever do that? But that was the first guy that everyone saw that probably have seen it online from recordings.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be putting this up on the screen. You guys won't be able to see this on Zoom, but by now everybody has seen on Twitter this individual right here. We were actually able to confirm that basically this was not him. Now, we don't know if it's mental illness. We don't know if it's a death wish, but you aren't the only person that has said that this individual came up screaming, I did it, I did it, I did it. Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me, apparently making a huge amount of noise. We were actually able to confirm this guy's name. Apparently he goes by the last name of Zin. I won't say his first name because I don't think it's necessary, and I take very seriously the do minimal harm clause of journalism, right? But we can confirm that apparently he was ruled out by law enforcement indeed. A lot of people originally were throwing shade because apparently you could see him in his garments because his pants had fallen down when they were dragging him away or something like that. But apparently I can also confirm that he's been barred from all church properties. And apparently he's also been barred from having engagements. I don't know if it's an official restraining order. That's not what my sources told me. They weren't able to confirm exactly what kind of barring it was. But apparently that this individual has been barred from engagement with Mike Lee, a guy named Herbert. I guess that's another senator of yours in Utah. And then also Spencer Cox. And so they interviewed him within an hour, it seems like. I don't know if they let him go free or not.
So I actually do have an update on that.
Hit me. Okay.
So he has not been let free. He has actually been detained for obstruction of justice. So, yeah, so the whole, obviously the fact that everybody thought this was the shooter and, you and I were on the air, and this did provide quite a bit of smokescreen in terms of they thought they had the shooter, which now we're at this point where we had several hours where whoever this was that actually did the shooting was just running around willy-nilly.
Think how much extra distance between law enforcement and the shooter was gained by the shooter because this joker was saying I did it when he did it.
Or at the very least, what if, let's say worst case scenario, what if Charlie Kirk was not the only target? How much more damage could this person have done because of somebody coming forward and falsely claiming that they were the shooter, which this happens all the time. I mean, we see it happen. How often have you seen, historical events have occurred where somebody comes forward and says, I'm the Zodiac killer or something like that.
Yeah.
They're never well people.
Yeah.
So, let's hope that this man gets what he needs, but he is still, last as we heard, in custody.
Yeah. So, this is the individual. This is the individual Chandler that had the blue shirt on, was completely bald with white hair on top, and had basically been pantsed in the endeavor. And the quote that I got on my text message from the person who looked into him and also gave us that information from a law firm that has indeed been involved in a lot of these dealings, apparently, said pretty much everybody in Utah politics knows about him and knows not to deal with him. So obviously shame on him for the obstruction of justice. And personally, I think that's totally fair. Like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If the dude does jail time, I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
So
I think it was interesting also because of the questions that were being asked the moment it happened by the second person that was discussing. I found that to be very weird after it occurred.
What do you mean?
Because he was talking. Well, the second person who was asking Charlie questions, he first talked about transgender mass shootings, and Charlie Kirk said, like, one is enough, like we should never have any. And then he asked him about other mass shootings, and the moment he asked that, Charlie picked up his mic, and then that's the exact moment that he was hit.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting that was the topic of conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot of things here that just you don't know what to think of it. Like yesterday in the Deseret News, there was an article. I'm going to actually invite you to the Discord, Jade. I'll send you an email that invites us to the Discord link so you can plug in different things that you find so I can put it on the screen. I won't ask you for your email address live because I believe it's in my memory.
I can text it to you.
If you, I've got it in my memory here. But if you could put up that screenshot that you took, the Deseret News yesterday, do you remember more or less what the title was on the Deseret News yesterday?
I do.
It was like political warrior or political martyr. Charlie Kirk is coming to UVU. And we're like, oh, whoa, holy smoke. Conspiracy theorists will have a heyday with that one.
Oh, I have it right here. It is campus martyr or culture warrior. Charlie Kirk is coming to Utah's colleges.
Oof, from the Deseret News. That does not age well at all. So anyway, yeah, you're not coming up here. I'll write it down on this, and then you can start sending me stuff. Anyway, Liz, really fast, we're going to talk to you. Liz, can you corroborate what Chandler said? Can you describe a little bit what happened in your experience? Oh, you're muted still, Liz. Hold on. Unmute yourself.
Okay, I thought I unmuted it. I was just left, would be to just Charlie Kirk's left. First row sitting up on the concrete steps, so there were people standing in front of us in a moat. But I saw it clear as day what happened to him, knew exactly what happened as soon as I saw it. We all hit the ground, people were running out. It wasn't shoving, pushing people down, it was pretty orderly getting out, and everybody was trying to help everyone. I got out and then I went back in because I dropped my wallet, and I thought, well, I doubt it's still in there. That I doubt the shooter's still in there, and couldn't find it and left back again. And that's when I saw the guy go up to the cop, and I was just feet away from him, go up to the cop and say, shoot me, shoot me. And they kind of looked at him funny. He said, you know, I did it. And so the cop just pulled him around and put him in handcuffs. But I didn't for a minute believe that he was the shooter. It just didn't seem possible logistically that he would have gotten down there, not had a gun, gotten down there, and just because I believe the shot, which they're seeming to think that now, was up high off of a building or something, would have been a sniper off of a building.
Yeah, they have confirmed that since then.
Yeah, actually, you took the words right out of my mouth. I've got a couple of graphics here. When you and I were talking, and feel free to jump in, Chandler, feel free to jump in, Liz, if this seemed to be the sense you guys got, because you were there at first, obviously. But at first, I said on the very first live stream, I said, holy smoke, this had to have come from close range, because I saw the catastrophic arterial damage. I have my CCW in multiple states. I'm licensed in all kinds of firearm use. I'm very familiar with firearms, both for self-defense, hunting, sports, so on and so forth. I'm familiar with what they look, sound, and behave like when they hit their objects and they perform their jobs. I'm saying this, trying to say this as neutrally as possible when I speak on this. But I just thought that he seemed to be under a tent. It didn't seem like he could be as exposed to the vantage point of somebody up high. But then when you look at the side view, it becomes obvious he was much further forward. He was a lot more exposed. And I'm putting on the screen an actual area view of Charlie Kirk. And his point is that red dot, and here's Utah Valley University. There was actually people, and I don't know how this keeps happening, whether it's Donald Trump in Pennsylvania or whether it's Charlie Kirk in UVU, but we keep getting this footage of people saying, wait, what's a guy doing up there with a long gun? And students, hours before these events happen, taking footage, and then these people not being caught or accounted for or anything. I'm actually going to be pulling up a picture here. This was Charlie Kirk's. This is a picture taken by a student who was actually at the event. So you can see it's surrounded by tall buildings. And this exact same video was sent to me and then started making its rounds online, of a student saying, what's this guy doing up here?
You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying. He just ran from over, where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying, just getting.
Okay, so, and this was before everything got busy and before everything got crazy. And this guy seems to fit the description of what has now been overheard on the police scanner. Have you guys heard what the police scanner said about the assailant or
Suspect.
the suspect described? Here it goes.
For the temperature of the mail. You ready for that? And I'll give you the description of the mail is all in black, long pants, black bag, aviator style sunglasses with a long gun.
Okay, so we've got all in black, long pants, black bag, sunglasses with a long gun. That seems to match this very fuzzy and obviously unable to, completely confirm description that we see right here. Okay. Obviously not an orange jumpsuit, shall we say. Okay. But yeah, it seems like Charlie Kirk was assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald style, Donald Trump wannabe style, again by somebody that was seen hours, minutes, a long time in advance. And I don't know why this keeps happening. Jade.
I do have a question. Chandler, you were a student on this campus at one point. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce the name of this building. It's the Luze Center. It's the big building is what has been identified as what a university spokesperson said that they believe that the shooter shot from the rooftop of this building. Do you know how easy it is or how difficult it is to access that roof?
No, I don't. I was there like 7 years ago, but the seeing how it all played out, and looking in the crowd and being in the crowd, I did not think for a second it was someone who was from the crowd, because it was just the perfect place shot. It didn't sound like it was in the crowd at all because it was quiet. It wasn't a gunshot that you could actually hear from close range. And so that building and the line of sight and just the area of where Charlie Kirk put his line of sight in, I don't know, I personally would never put with his controversies in politics, like that is not a good spot to build or to put a campus tour on. Personally, there's a bunch of buildings everywhere. There's a bunch of buildings everywhere. There's multiple different stories. There's multiple different lines of sight. So
and Mr. Kirk is at the bottom of an amphitheater, as we've spoken about before. Right. So that makes it where he's
it's
literally
the definition of strategically worst decision possible.
Yeah. Worst.
Now,
and there was no one up. I couldn't see any police officers on the buildings around the UVU campus where the film, where we get a ton of the film stuff. There was people filming. I didn't see any police officers on top of these buildings or on top of with the crowds. It was just a bunch of people with the cameramen. Everyone was down where Charlie Kirk was, and so that was interesting to me too.
So there's some kind of massive dereliction of duty going on here, because I'm not going to start armchair quarterbacking this because my rule is 24 hours. My rule is 24 hours. But we can say that now the first person they thought was the suspect, both you, Liz, and Chandler, you both say you felt right off the bat wasn't the right guy, correct?
No, I did for a second think it was him.
Okay,
and
cool.
I was right up next to him.
Yeah, he was delusional with what he was saying, and in a moment of crisis like that, no way you come forward that quickly, I don't think. And just how he was presenting himself, and if he was that close like we were, you would have heard the gunshot way louder.
Yeah.
If he even.
What was? Yeah, and he didn't even have his gun. You think he'd come down with his gun, wanting to be,
Yeah.
Look at me, here I am. But yeah, as soon as I saw him, I thought, I think the cop didn't take him seriously at first too. He was like, shoot me, and the cop's looking at him, and he goes, I'm the one who did it, and they're like, oh, and so they pulled him around and put cuffs on him.
So was it the fact that he was so blasé about I'm the person who did it, even though you hadn't heard the gunshot come from him, that made it strike untrue to you, or was it something else he was saying?
No, it was that. Oh, you go, Liz.
It was just odd that he would be in that spot that quickly, because what's your name? The other guest?
That's Jade.
Jade.
Oh, and Chandler.
Jade was saying, Okay, like Jade was saying, we all kind of assumed that it came from far away, because I assumed it came from up high. The gunshot wasn't super loud, so I figured it came from far away, a sniper or something. And so I thought, how's he all the way down here up by the cops saying, "Oh yeah, it was me"?
Yeah.
That.
Well,
I mean,
that
he did seem angry, but it just logistically, I don't think the shooter would have been there.
Chandler?
And it was a precise shot.
Very.
And someone would have saw him pull out if he had a gun to line up a shot like that in the crowd.
Well, that's
but
the other
fact
thing.
That there's no one who saw anything with him. That's what like there was no one like pointing. There was no one that was like, here he is. Like there was nothing in the crowd that was like, we have him or here he's at. Like that's why I was like, okay, he's not here, because no one to have that kind of a precise shot that happened. Like if it was in close range, someone would have saw the guy pull out the gun.
He would have been dogpiled.
He would have been dogpiled. Yeah.
Yeah, so fast. Yeah.
So I was going to say that this is where the other part of us that are familiar with firearms comes in. You yourself said, okay, it didn't sound like a shot that came immediately. In fact, in many of the videos, you hear the echo off the buildings.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, you hear the echo off the buildings, and it's loud enough in the condenser microphones on the phones that students were using, which has a tendency to duck the audio. So anybody that's familiar with what guns sound like, when you go out with your buddies in the desert and you're lighting it up, you're losing your hearing in real life. But on the phone, it's barely hitting 20 decibels because the algorithms lower the sound for you. So for it to be that loud, at least in the video, that would lead me to think this had to be a high caliber from very far away. We're talking over a football field. I've seen on this map here that it looks like the top of the building is at least, here it says about 200 yards, which means to land a 200-yard shot, you have to be trained.
Yeah, and something very interesting to point out is, can we go back to that video of Mr. Kirk getting shot? You notice that he actually is moving around quite a bit beforehand. He's leaning down, he's grabbing his microphone, he's leaning back into his chair. So he does go back to a point, but then when the bullet hits, there's a lot of movement ahead of time. A headshot's not easy. Like, yes, we've all played video games. Yes, you're supposed to go for the headshot. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's a moving target, and they train you actually not to take it.
Yes.
Like
specifically that reason. It's difficult, and you're going to more likely hit someone and be successful if you do a body shot.
Yeah, and so here again we see the video, and it looks like what we were looking at, unfortunately, then ends up being the entrance wound. And I do not recommend that you go look at the close-up photos because it was brutal. It's stuff you see on Live Leak. How far away were you, Chandler? How far away were you, Liz?
I'd say I was 30, 40 feet, maybe.
Okay.
I was behind the gates. where the gates were set up around him. So like
I was
15 feet.
Yeah, I was behind the gates, but behind the moat and sitting up on the first step.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I was right in front of the gates.
If you were to just guess, having heard it, how far would you guess that it came from? Being a young man generally familiar with firearms.
A couple hundred.
Couple hundred yards.
Well, it was two sounds. Two sounds hit. I heard two sounds. Once I think back to the moment.
So we do have a real quick update. I'm so sorry to cut you off, Chandler.
You're good.
So the FBI director, I believe his name is Kash Patel, has stated that a person in custody related to the shooting death, I can't confirm whether or not this is the same person that we were speaking about earlier, has been released, but we're trying to get more information as to whether or not that was speaking about the man we were referring to earlier or this secondary person who was
Mr. Zinn.
Mr. Zinn, or the second person who was in custody. So I'm going to try to figure out that right now.
Okay. Well, then actually, speaking about that, I'm just going to go up to the next reports that we have from mainstream media. And we've done our best to vet these as best we can with all of the latest updates. Governor, as of 7:29 p.m. Eastern time, says a person of interest is in custody following Charlie Kirk shooting death. And I'm going to put that up on the screen right here. But then we're going to refresh to make sure that everything we hear is fresh news. not old news, because when this happens, 429 was literally an hour ago. They might have caught the guy since then, right? So, Jade, first off, I'm going to ask Chandler and then Liz any other details that they could describe. What happened afterwards? You were able to get out of there. Now, I've heard that people are sweeping rooms door to door. I don't know if that's bystander hearsay. What have you been able to confirm from your friends is happening on the ground now?
I never went in a building. My son-in-law and grandbaby were in a building when the shot happened, and he said he was locked down, but then they kicked him out of the building pretty quick. I had a son that ran, and he wasn't with us. He had gone up higher and met up with a friend. He got locked down in a building for a while, but that wasn't very long. I actually never even went into a building.
Okay.
I stayed outside the whole time.
Okay. Are all your friends accounted for and they've been able to say what's going on, Chandler? Are cops going door to door looking for this guy now still? What's going on?
Yeah. So I have a couple. They shut it down pretty quick. And another indication of why I didn't think it was that guy, because SWAT was called onto the scene and they were sweeping the buildings immediately, trying to find a second suspect. And so they shut down where we were. They basically crowded everyone that ran behind where Charlie Kirk's car left. They crowded us, said, hey, everyone stay here if you were eyewitnesses. And then I have friends that basically everyone went home and there's cops knocking on door to door. Hospitals are closed down, and they're basically shutting everything down and sweeping it as we speak, trying to find the suspect.
Okay. How you doing, man?
I don't think it'll hit me until probably after adrenaline and stuff wears off. So, it's first time I've been around guns a lot in my life. My brother's in the military, so, but
it's different.
It's different. I never thought I would ever be in this situation. So.
Yeah. Now, if I remember correctly, you were also there with our mutual friend Elder TikTok, and you were in line to ask a question, right?
Yeah, me and him were. Yeah, he was closer, even more than I was. Yeah. Okay.
Jeez, awesome. All right. I'm looking into the exact 8 minutes ago. CNN reported about a person of interest in custody following Charlie Kirk's shooting death, but it seems to be just that same original person, which means I don't know if this shooter is still at large right now. Yeah. What's your sense, having written myriad articles about this over the past hour and been just pouring over this? Is there anything we've talked about in the 3 different live streams we've done on this now that we've missed so far, Jade?
No, I think we've pretty much covered a good portion of it. I think one thing to keep in mind is that this was a very highly publicized kickoff of a brand new tour for Charlie Kirk. So it is very interesting that whoever this is managed to strike on the first day and strike successfully, because this is the sort of thing that has, as you said before, you don't necessarily want to point any fingers, but there's a lot of lax mistakes.
It's not making sense.
That had to have occurred.
Donald Trump is the most powerful man in the world, that has the nuclear codes and is the commander-in-chief of the largest military force the world has ever seen. And a dude with a 223, 1.5 football fields away, with a rifle that I can purchase 30 days before he shows up in my hometown, that everybody knew as a psychopath, is the one that gets to him. Like, what? Are you kidding me? And a lucky look at his favorite PowerPoint slide is what saves his life, not the billions of dollars that we put into protecting this guy. And then Charlie Kirk, yeah, okay, I wouldn't call it polemics, but definitely controversy. He's was no foreigner to controversy and whatnot. You'd think the rooftops. Let's not have rooftops wide open with him at the bottom. Yeah, there's something about it. I can see why a lot of people are angry and saying this doesn't make sense. It does not smack of a whoopsie. It seems so incompetent that it smacks of something else. And I'm not going to say what that something else is because I don't even know yet. I'm just saying that I can understand why a lot of people are incensed about this. So anyway, Chandler, you make it home. How hard was that?
Well, my car got locked through the shutdown, so I walked. We got released, and I walked, and Elder TikTok picked me up, and we went and got some. We went to his house. A ton of people called us asking us if we were okay. Sitting there in shock on a couch, not really. Hasn't really hit us. Probably hasn't hit me yet. Still, probably won't for a couple hours, I think. But
yeah, well,
we got away pretty easily, and I don't know. It was wild.
Yeah. So, Jade, any other questions for our two eyewitnesses before we dismiss them? You guys are welcome to hang out, but I also just don't want to keep you tied up in case you have somewhere else to go. Or
well, I'd like to add.
Yeah, hit me. Yeah, Liz? Oh, do we
Keep cutting out.
Oh, yeah, say it.
I guess I'm cutting out. Okay,
yeah. No, she's having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Yeah. You want to try that one last time, Liz? Well, at least we got her on a flattering freeze frame. You know what I'm saying? Like, we will always remember Liz by that last beautiful freeze frame before she completely cut out. That was actually pretty funny. So, anyway, she just put something in the Discord, and I don't see what it is. So anyway, okay. Let's start talking really fast. Chandler, you can hang out with us if you want. If you got a jam, you can jam. It's all up to you. Good things about this.
In the meantime, I mean, I do want to bring up that the FBI has put up a tip line online. I sent you a link to that, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more info through there. But the fact that they have only recently put up that tip line is not a good sign in terms of bringing someone into custody. But that will continue to be helpful as the investigation continues, regardless of whether or not they manage to detain somebody. Because something like this, there's often witnesses that will come up months or weeks later just because they didn't know that what they were seeing or the way that their friend or loved one was acting was suspicious.
Yeah,
I'm back.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But I say there's rumors in law enforcement that it's a hitman.
Well, I can absolutely see why those rumors start, just because that's a colloquial term.
It was done so well.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a colloquial term that can mean all kinds of things, and I don't want to embrace the worst aspects of the meaning of hitman. But at the end of the day, this is a highly trained individual. And whether that's formalized military training or mercenary training or law enforcement training or just plain old enthusiast who goes to the range all day, at 200 plus yards, this guy unloaded a heavy caliber rifle that is difficult to manage. If you've ever held them, they're heavy. They're not easy. I mean, these things weigh 20, 30, 40, 50 pound weights. Carrying them around is a lunky, at best, affair. Second, they're impossible to miss. No matter how low profile you make a 308, you make a 223, a 762, you're dealing with a push broom a janitor walks around with, not some kind of concealed carry Derringer, okay? And fourth, it makes it very, very difficult to do things. How are you going to climb onto a roof using a ladder when you got a 40-pound weight in your left hand that's the size of an industrial mop?
And this is going to be something very interesting as this investigation goes along. Is we're not going to find out because obviously this has a very active investigation, but did the shooter leave their weapon behind? Or did they take it with them? And the reason I say with them and not he or she is because at this point, we have no idea who this person is. So did they take their weapon with them? Are they going to find it in one of the buildings on campus? Because if they're able to find that weapon, as in investigators are able to find that weapon, that's going to open up the door to a whole lot of interesting information.
Okay, what do you suspect? Like, you've been covering news for eons. You're a veteran of this. You've been doing this over a decade. Where do you see this going? If I mean, obviously not, engaging in wild speculation, but like, where do you see this going?
Well, I think first step is, are they able to find the weapon? If the weapon was taken with the shooter, that indicates not necessarily a lot of planning in this post, CSI being the most popular show on television age. Everyone has at least a modicum of understanding of anti-forensic techniques. Everyone knows, don't leave the gun. That thing has your fingerprints. It'll have your fingerprints either on the weapon itself or on the bullets. Because when you loaded that weapon, did you wear gloves? A lot of the times the answer is no. And so your fingerprint is going to be on the casing of one of those bullets. And then you're going into the actual registration number on the weapon itself. Is that going to be tracked back to you or a loved one?
Oh, and those are the ones you know about even.
Yes.
Because many states require all kinds of secret, extra, and additional. California's laws are insane. We haven't had a new handgun approved since, 2015?
Something like.
Because they made a list. They want micro stamping so that there's a stamp put on every shell casing that gets ejected with a unique serial number of the gun.
Yeah, and so that's a great point to bring in here, is that you also don't know where this weapon or the shooter is from. I mean, as, Chandler, you're visiting town and you happened to come to this event. Lise, you also are not a student. You're just happened to be like, oh, I'm a fan. I'm going to go see what's going on. You happened to be nearby. But as we've seen in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that the shooter was someone from nearby. This could be somebody from the other side of the country for all we know. I mean, let's go back to the shooter who attempted to target the NFL offices a couple weeks back, who was a Santa Clarita local. Got to give us a shout out for that one, because that's my beat.
Yeah.
So I got to link it back to that. But that's somebody who lived in Las Vegas. That's somebody who lived in Las Vegas who drove cross country to try to target the NFL offices. We're in a global age. This shooter could be from anywhere. And the first step is trying to find out what evidence is on hand. So I can keep talking about this all day, but the evidence that is on hand, unfortunately, at this point, is going to be Charlie Kirk, what struck him, and where that ended up. So I am conceptualizing a little bit here. That's not quite the right word, but I am going to guess that the bullet is not in Mr. Kirk.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no way.
No. From my angle, I don't believe it is in him.
Yeah.
So finding that bullet or whatever is left of it, because that kept going.
Yeah.
That is going to indicate a lot, because also I do have to mention that we are guessing that it is high caliber. I do agree that I believe it is high caliber, just in my experience, and
to accurately go that distance,
the damage. I agree. I do believe it is high caliber. We don't know that for sure, so I'm putting that out there that we are.
A 22 wouldn't do that.
No, Richard Ramirez couldn't kill people from 3 feet away with a 22. I doubt it's a 22.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is mentioning, yes, of course, a lot of people are speculating it's a man. Anytime there's anybody that's high profile, of course, there's going to be speculation about that. But I'll tell you what's going to be the determining factor and interesting is what makes somebody a hitman versus just a well-trained individual who had access to a firearm and trained in it is not whether, yes, there's money involved, but the talent of these people is not in actually being able to shoot and hit. Chandler, give him a couple of weeks. He could probably 9 out of 10 times hit a squash from 200 yards if he had a well-tuned scope and a well-tuned rifle. It's the evasion techniques in public.
Excellent point.
The craft comes from the evasion techniques in public. The fact that this guy was able to get away and has remained away. In fact, I've been refreshing this little button ever since we started this. Ever since we started this live stream. And here it is on your screen as of 12 minutes ago. Okay. According to the New York Post, right here, Charlie Kirk assassination person of interest released, gunman still at large. Subject in custody that we talked about, Mr. Zinn, was released after interrogation by law enforcement. And now his actual gunman, the real culprit, is still at large running around. Now, how has he not been figured out yet?
Well, I think
if it was a local disgruntled student, we'd be homing in on some dorms right now.
Well, I think Chandler and Lisa actually gave a great point, is that this person was behind where all the action was. And then you guys were more worried about the important thing, which is keeping yourselves safe. And I think I have to give some real shout out to Lisa's son-in-law for getting the baby and getting out. That is an absolute fantastic.
He happened to be out when it happened, so it was lucky that she wasn't there.
Perfect. But it's your concern in that moment wasn't looking for this person. It was getting yourselves out entirely reasonably. And so it's entirely probable that this shooter got out with the rest of you.
Well, the immediate, I think it's the guy on the rooftop. That has to be, and he's so far away to where the initial reaction is you have someone coming up saying it's me, it's me, it's me. So it draws all of the attention away from everything else for 30 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
And so this guy has like a 30-minute to an hour head start to disappear.
Well, they did. They locked down the buildings. Because my son-in-law and the baby were in there, so my daughter's worried about her baby, getting hungry. And then I had a son locked in another building. So the people who ran in the buildings were locked in their buildings, but not for very long. And then they evacuated them.
Right.
Yeah, so they didn't do good. They didn't do good searches. They should have locked them down and thoroughly looked through everyone.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And we will absolutely, I'm sure, be hearing more about that at a later time, because as we've even seen in the aftermath of most large scale, I keep going back to school shootings because it's an assassination that happened at a school in this case, but that's kind of what I think about, is because the first people on scene in this case are campus security. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind in this specific case. I'm sure there's going to be a investigation into exactly what happened here and what was done and what should have been done in order to handle a lockdown of this scope.
Yeah. So we're just going to do one more recap for everybody that has joined in with us. I see we have a couple thousand people that have joined the live stream since then. If you guys are just tuning in as of late, unfortunately, it's what many people are kind of calling a millennial RFK event, but a conservative activist, a well-known political commentator, whatever you want to call the public figure that is Charlie Kirk. He was just fatally shot today at Utah Valley University. So unfortunately now the state of Utah has the claim to fame, in infamy, shall we say, of being the last place where Charlie Kirk engaged in his very popular Prove Me Wrong series, very similar to Steven Crowder's Change My Mind, where he would address hot political topics face-to-face with students that wanted to disagree with them or students that wanted to agree with him. And unfortunately, there was not a ruse, I guess it's fair to say a ruse of somebody claiming it was him who was taken into custody, but then we found out it was not indeed him, and he was subsequently released. This individual has been apparently a big problem in Utah politics before having orders against him not to be able to associate with Herbert, with Spencer Cox, with Mike Lee, and apparently, quote, anybody that knows anything about Utah politics knows about him and not to deal with him, which has now led us to the question of obviously who did this. And there's all these videos surfacing of people that are just pointing out, holy smoke, who's that guy in all black with a giant rifle looking thing on the top of a suspicious platform within vantage of the nationally controversial political figure who's had threats and all kinds of other petitions signed against him. Maybe we should check that out before this thing starts. And then the assassination happens. We've played the video already. About 200 yards away from where he was speaking, on top of one of the buildings at the university. It seems he was shot, and the individual, as the police reported, was wearing all black bag, sunglasses, with a long gun.
And I'll give you the description on the male is all in black, long pants, black bag, aviator style sunglasses with a long gun.
Okay, and let me tell you, as a guy who is actively doing a documentary right now on the JFK assassination, I can tell you the first news outlet that gets a picture of the rifle wins the news cycle for the next 5 hours. So if this guy would have left it, then it would have been found already by some cop that tipped off one of his buddies, by some investigative journalist that was running around looking for evidence. The world would know right now if the gun was there, which means this now assassin, I wouldn't even say person of interest, this now assassin we know was able to escape a campus full of security and cops, okay, with a giant rifle.
Which I do have an update on very specifically how many members of law enforcement were there, at least in terms of the university police.
Okay.
According to the university police chief, his name is Jeff Long, there were only 6 university officers at the event, plus, quote, some plainclothes police officers in the crowd as well, unquote.
Yeah, there was no one. Like,
what?
For Charlie Kirk to be there, when I say there was 5 around him and no one else around,
which means that's 5/6 of the officers who were in uniform were at this event were with Mr. Kirk.
Right.
What? Are you kidding me? You can't huddle around somebody well enough. You can shoot through them. You can, that is the most strategically asinine thing I've heard of. So there were 6 officers. How many officers did you see when you were asking your questions there, Liz? How many officers did you see when you were asking your questions there, Chandler?
I don't know when I was asking questions, but I didn't see an abundance of officers. I saw a few. I saw a guy in black that had an earpiece that I thought he might be undercover, but it would be like as much as you would see at the county fair.
So
there was two behind him, which I think are his own detail, to be honest.
Yeah, no, he shows up with his own guys.
Yeah, you can see
there
them
was
in the
2
video
in front
if
of
you
him
replay
right
it.
next to there was 2 in front of him right next to the person speaking. So like the 2 people standing right next to the mic of when someone walks up. There was probably 2 others behind the mic in the crowd controlling the line. That's all I saw.
Are you?
And then way back by the
And then there was a ton.
might have been a few
there was a
wandering
ton
around.
that came. Right. Then there was a ton that came after the incident happened. But I have so my brother-in-law has a brother in the military. And I mean, not in the military, in the law enforcement that got called on duty for the manhunt. And let me find the text real quick. Apparently there was a lack of communication, and that's why Utah law enforcement wasn't there. I don't know if that's true or not, but
It could be true. I mean, especially when you're dealing with stuff that's happening on campus, and it's a campus that, as we've discussed previously, has its own law enforcement. I have seen something similarly where when you're dealing with more complicated sub-jurisdictions like this, where sometimes things do slip through the cracks, sometimes because people don't necessarily know all of the different groups that they need to talk to, and they don't necessarily all talk to each other. Maybe that is what happened here. It is possible.
6 people?
6 uniformed officers.
6 to 10. 6 to 10.
I
But
had
no one on
6
the rooftops. No one on the rooftops. No one.
I had like 5
facilitating
security
the
dude.
cameras.
When I debated RFM, we showed up in bulletproof vests and had 3 officers, and there was only 55 people in that room.
Yeah, there were.
But
3
we had
captains.
enough threats, and dude, I'd only been on YouTube for a year before some psycho Utah started dropping their "I'm gonna come find yous" and messages and pics of my house and all that other crap. Do that calculation per capita, and now you've got a university full of thousands of kids. That's the largest university in the state with 17 exits. Like, I can't believe it. I just
On his first stop, right? This was his first stop of the tour, wasn't it?
Very first. It was the inaugural.
The very first
kickoff.
stop. Yeah, it was the very kickoff. On the first kickoff of a new tour.
Holy smoke.
But that's how these things happen. That is how these things happen. It's like I was talking about earlier, where it's like a plane crash. It's not one thing that goes wrong. It's a whole series of incidents that allow something like this to occur.
I mean, they did keep the protesters away from him. They were up on the building behind him. They really couldn't see him. So I guess they thought that was keeping him safe, to not have the protesters out where they had eyesight of him.
Okay, describe that, by the way, just so that people understand the scene. How was all the protesters handled, and describe that scene for people that haven't been able to get a feeling or a sense for that yet.
Well, there's a building above the canopy where Charlie Kirk was, and there was a ledge, and I could see, I don't know how many people were behind there. Someone later told me the news showed there were a lot of people behind there, but I only saw the people up against the rail. They had pride flags and signs, and they kept moving him away. They were central over Charlie Kirk at first, and then they kept slowly moving them to his left and moving them away from him. But they still couldn't get a good view of him, so probably that was smart, keeping them away from him. But, there's chances that the shooter's going to be hanging out with protesters.
Yeah, I was about going to say, that's, at this point, just a distraction. Okay, if there's any silver lining of this, before we go any further, we do have to cover, hallelujah, at least our nation is coming together to do one thing together and right, and that is denounce political violence. Spencer Cox came out and very openly said this is indeed a political assassination, was very vocal about it. Here's that footage.
Very clear that this is a political assassination. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Now, we have a person of interest in custody.
Okay, and that's already been resolved, so we don't even have to pay the last of that. But thank goodness Spencer Cox put his big boy pants on and, finally found a way to agree on something with somebody. Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, they're all coming out, and I was pleasantly surprised with our nation's ability to grab the low-hanging fruit of at least just denouncing political violence, which, frankly, I was wondering if I was even going to get that, but it seems we got that. Who else has been very vocal since this has happened?
I think you hit a good portion of it. Obviously, we had previous presidential, vice presidential candidate, Tim Walsh, who came forward, who also recently had a political assassination in his state. He also came forward to offer his condolences as well as a lot of other political commentators and leaders from across the nation and the internet at large are all coming together to say, hey, yes, this was a nation that was founded on defending our ideals, but there is a line, and once we start descending into violence, we are no longer a nation united.
Yeah.
There has to be a line, and so far everybody that I have seen has been really coming forward to say, hey, everyone has a right to their beliefs. Everyone has a right to share their beliefs. And maybe on a personal level you can resolve that, but when you're talking about large scale incidents like this, there has to be a line.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, do you have any other thoughts before we go over to some of the fallout, Liz and Chandler? Anything we've missed so far?
No, I just think it's, I don't know, I posted a video on TikTok, and it's just sad to see, I don't know, just the celebrations over something.
Wait, celebrations. Don't tell me people aren't celebrating this crap, are they?
Yeah, my TikTok, it has like...
Are you effing kidding me?
Oh no, it has 3.2 million views, and if you look through the comment section, it's horrendous.
Put that on the Discord right now. I want to see who these clowns are, and we got to make them famous.
Just a link to it?
Yeah, this is gross. Are you like seriously? It's just absolutely gross. You know, I am a freedom of speech near purist. I am literally nearly a freedom of speech purist. I think what they're doing in England, arresting people for offending someone on Facebook. Have you seen these videos of people getting arrested for having offended somebody on Facebook?
Yeah.
It's like insanely hard to believe, but in other countries they actually do that, which you and I work in the media. Like, there would be no media if you got offended. I mean, it was just 3 chumps at the New York Post that took down a president during Watergate. These protections are so necessary for our foundational constitutional rights to continue. But at moments like this, within hours, when Charlie Kirk's body hasn't even grown cold yet, the idea that these trolls on Twitter, like, you know how like that movie The Purge?
Yes, I am familiar with The Purge.
Yeah, okay. You could convince me there's no violation of freedom of speech, except for one day we can go after all the creeps that do something like that. Not even let the families grieve for 24 hours before they start dancing around over some political asinine tribalism. Yeah, labor camps are the moderate position with me on that. That's all I'm saying is like...
Well, it's like the conversation we were having on KHTS earlier, where I was speaking with one of our hosts, Jen, and we were talking about how truly, I think it is the phone that is the problem. It is social media that is the problem. And in my personal case, it's people feel safe. People feel safe. I mean, look, you and I are talking with Chandler and Lise, who are in a completely different state. If one of us said something that insulted them, what are they going to do about it? And that is kind of the approach that people have with the internet. They're safe, and that is why we have this.
Because anonymity breeds cruelty.
Anonymity breeds cruelty, and also goes back to okay, I said it. What are you going to do? Are you going to reach through the screen? Are you going to go full Sadako in the ring on me? I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it absolutely promotes that. Go ahead, Lise.
I just want to add, if people want to picture what it was like, people started leaving. There was no organized authorities telling us what to do or where to go. Say I left, I came back in, looking around. People were just standing around. I was standing around the area. Some people started screaming at the cops. How could you let a shooter in here? You know, they were angry about it. But it was just, most people had left, but I was just walking around in the area for several minutes after it happened. And there was nobody kicking you out. So it's like...
you could have walked around for an hour before anyone was like being structured of control. Like you could have been wandering for a while without people caring.
That's
they didn't. You just walked around. Like say, I walked right by the guy, turned himself into the cop. I was right next to the cop. I mean, I probably could have reached out my arm and touched him. I was right next to him, and guy walks up to the cop.
The reason for that is just probably lack of ability to have control with that. Like not a lot of people there too.
And they obviously haven't had drills about what to do.
Does anybody have...
That's some kind of training. They need to have drills.
I swear, dude, for as tough as all these rednecks in Utah think they are, like freaking A, You know, like 6 people. You don't put this thing on lockdown. Like, holy smoke! Did.
Yeah, I think using it as an example, we have a community college here in our area, and we have had, let's see, I'll go back a couple of years during the 2020, the whole George Floyd protests. That is an extreme example, but when we had smaller scale protests from just community members and students on campus, our community college is tiny comparatively. We had our entire security team out, as well as multiple members of law enforcement from our local station, as well as additional support from the California Highway Patrol and sheriff's deputies from additional stations. And we're in an area that is a far smaller campus and had just as many people. I mean, you're talking about 2,500, 3,000. You know, they were concerned that these were going to be potentially violent protests. They were just kids. They're kids from a rich area of California. They weren't going to do anything. But the principle remains the same. You're talking about there were 3,000 protesters, and then there were easily, I want to say, between 150 to 180 members of law enforcement and security who were just on scene just to be present. That is a completely different per capita ratio compared to this, which, granted, this is to give these security officers, and I'm going to say the college, a bit of grace here. You never expect a school shooting, and a shooting on campus, I should say, especially when it's something in this case where it seems like they thought they had their suspects identified. Because from everything that you two are saying, they were keeping an eye on the protesters. Who expects somebody to snipe from 200 yards away?
Haven't you ever seen a single movie? The dude doesn't come out of a crowd of protesters. He laughs at the protesters and then goes to the other side of the plaza and sets up a gun the freaking size of an industrial mop there. That is the movie, though.
I've seen Officer Tatum, have violent confrontations with people at these turning point. So they know that the protesters there can be violent. They know there's a violent tendency at these things.
I don't know. This seems like a massive dereliction of somebody's duty. I'm sorry. There's nothing I could hang my hat on here if I were an insurance adjuster for the inevitable crippling lawsuit that's going to happen because of this, where I could say, well, we did do X.
It's going to be very interesting because it was so wild hearing you talk about going to find your wallet, at least. Like, I've been somewhere when I was over by our sheriff's station when we very unfortunately had somebody decide to walk in and suicide by cop. And my car was impounded for 6 hours and there was no way I was able to go back to my vehicle.
I forgot my laptop on a plane and I could see it in the second seat. And the lady, the stewardess wouldn't let me back on the plane. She said, "What seat were you in?" She went and she grabbed it and she handed it to me.
Yeah, well, I went back in there and I wasn't alone. There were people who just never left. So there were people just.
Well, that's more understandable.
To see if I dropped it on the ground. Yeah, because I say they did not force people to leave. Most people left because out of safety, but they did not force us to leave. And then later I was walking around trying to find my daughter and went all over the plaza and then went down the same ramp that I had gone to get out. And they did block that off. So I just went up and around and got outside. I don't know who they were really blocking because you just can go up and around and get to the same area. But
wow, well, this is a great headline. Good job, Utah Valley University. Here's your headline. Witnesses describe lax security, then horror. 17 minutes and 58 seconds ago. Lax security, then horror. And this is all in real time. That video can never go away. And this guy is still out there. This is absurd. By now, Lee Harvey Oswald was caught. I think he was only at large for 4 hours.
It wasn't
and this
long
happened.
At all.
Yeah, this happened at 11:30 this morning, I'd say.
I don't know if they checked the movie theaters.
It was 12:10.
Okay. between 11 and 12 or sometime, midday. I remember I walked into the KHTS newsroom because I was there actually about to do the senior hour. And I walked in and I said, oh my gosh, Charlie Kirk has been shot. And the news director.
It would have been 11 o'clock your time it started. It was 12 o'clock our time, and it was not far into
Okay.
it.
Oh, no wonder it felt weird to us then. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember saying Charlie Kirk has just been shot. And you were the first person I told, Jade, and you're like, what? No. And then the station chief starts climbing. It's like, it's nowhere. I said, no, I'm getting text messages right now from multiple individuals that Charlie Kirk has been shot. These are not liars. I would take it to the bank. These are serious individuals. Charlie Kirk's been shot. And then what was the first report that you saw? Actually, you got to give credit where credit is due. That's what we do on the show. You were very impressed with the news reporting of what organization this whole time?
Is it Deseret or Desiree?
It's Desiree News.
I'm French. I don't pronounce the T's if they're at the end.
Jade Aubuchon, in Desiree News. But no, it's Deseret News. I think it means honeybee, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, Deseret News.
I emailed Jonah, and then he just emailed back, call Carden immediately. Gave me your number, and so then I heard you called.
Well, I'm glad you did. So we're already 15 minutes into overtime here. We're going to end this live stream here pretty soon. But
they just cleared the campus.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. I just, on so many levels, this seems like such a catastrophic failure. And, Charlie Kirk, God bless him. He died a testament to what he believed in. And I don't care whether you agreed or disagreed with that. Frankly, it reminds me of Joseph Smith. Whether you agreed or disagreed with his cosmology, that dude died with his boots on, defending his faith until the very end. And Charlie Kirk, freaking God bless you, brother. I've nothing but respect. I'm sure I'd find something I disagree with him on somewhere, but you cannot have anything but respect for a dude that does what he does, goes out the way he does. God bless his family. God bless his loved ones. We can do nothing but pray on behalf of this guy, have a moment of silence, be respectful, and seriously condemn. If any of you guys on social media come across like freaking Chandler, I'm not going to put this on you because you just survived witnessing a political assassination.
Yeah, and I do want to take a moment to, I hope very, very sincerely for both of you that you take the time that you need. Like, look, I deal with this a lot on a daily basis. And you are never prepared for something like this, and it takes a very particular type of person who can handle this when it strikes this close to home. And you should absolutely not feel any shame in needing to take whatever approach that you need when it comes to dealing with something as horrible as what you two not only witnessed but experienced. You are both victims in this as well. And you should absolutely take that seriously. And whether that is talking about this or never speaking of this again, you do what you need to do.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys can go, by the way. Anytime you want to go, you've already told your story. You can absolutely go. Me and we just got another 300, 400 people that just jumped into the stream. So we're just going to do a recap briefly of everything that we know for all those people that did. If you got to go, you can go. If not, and you want to hang around, you can totally hang around as well. It's all completely up to you. I don't want to abuse your time. So really fast, I know we said we're into overtime, but I'm just going to give one last recap. Could you tell everybody that just joined us right now what we know and what's going on?
You're talking to me?
Jade,
right.
Yes, from the very top, and I'm going to be putting all these links on the screen.
All right. Well, today, political commenter Charlie Kirk was shot and killed as he was doing his kickoff for his new tour. It was over at Utah Valley University, which is one of the largest educational centers in the state. It was actually established all the way back in 1941, according to the notes that just came across my desk. It has between 46,000 and 500,000 students, or 50,000 students including about 16,000 high school students. So a lot of the people who are on campus today were children, effectively. They were people who were in their late teens who unfortunately had to not only be witness, but had to experience the fear of knowing that there was a shooter on their campus. What happened? So as Mr. Kirk was beginning to do a Q&A session, apparently he was only on his second question. He was shot in the throat by someone with what we assume to be a high-powered rifle from approximately 200 yards away, and that is according to the FBI, where they have identified a rooftop approximately 200 yards away. You'll be able to see it on your screen in just a moment. They do believe that the shot came from the right side of the screen, so that would be essentially ahead of where Mr. Kirk is facing. Besides that, we do know that in the immediate aftermath, there was one person taken into custody, an older gentleman who came forward and basically said, I did it, shoot me. Since then, this person has been identified. We have been able to identify him, and he is apparently very, very well known in the Utah political sphere as somebody who is someone who should be avoided. And not just avoided, there are multiple leaders in Utah who straight up just have restraining orders against him. And I do also believe that he has been not allowed to access many LDS spaces. Is that correct, Garden?
Yeah, we got an inside tip from people that are involved in various lawsuits, or I don't know what the correct legal term is, but basically formal declarations. You're not allowed to be here anymore, and you're not allowed to be around Spencer Cox, Herbert.
That is the governor, yes.
Yeah, Mike Lee is the, I know Spencer Cox is the governor. Mike Lee is the, is it senator? It's Senator Mike Lee, not congressman,
he is the
right?
Senator, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe he's the U.S. senator, though, not the state senator, which
yes,
are two
exactly.
different things. So that is who the gentleman who was taken into custody was. Since then, he has been ruled out as a suspect, essentially, which this has led to a crazy turn of events where, it is 6 p.m., so the shooting happened at about 11 a.m. our time. So that's what, 7 hours in or so, and there is no shooter in custody. They remain at large. There has been no real information as to, has a weapon been found? Are there any cameras on campus? I don't know what this campus is like. We don't know what the security system's like. And to be blunt, coming from my perspective as a local journalist, we're probably not going to find that out because of the fact that this suspect has so far managed to get away. This suspect has managed to get away. So you know what that means? That suspect is probably dialed in doing exactly what all of you are doing. He's looking to see at the updates to see what do the law enforcement officers and the public know. Do they know who he is? What do they know about his car is? What do they have? And so, to be blunt, I do believe that whatever law enforcement has, we're not going to see it right away because of how in this situation the shooter has managed to draw so much time.
Yeah. Also, our live stream just spiked here, Chandler. We got about another 1,000 people that just joined in the past 3 minutes here. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to just keep asking you a couple of questions. You okay with that, my man?
Yeah. I got like 30 minutes. So.
Okay, great. Thank you for hanging out with us. Something just came to my mind right now. How easy would it be, in your estimation, having been a student at UVU and having been an eyewitness to this, how easy would it be for somebody to get away, Lee Harvey Oswald style, from this campus, from where he was supposedly seen on the rooftops of is it the Lessie building? Is that how it's pronounced?
I think that's how it's pronounced, yeah.
Okay. How easy in your estimation would it be to get away?
If you're far away and from the action and no one realized that's how far away you were, I think you have a big head start.
I think we all agree.
You have multiple different exits outside of UVU campus. And the exits that were towards the highway, which is the roundabout, that's where the cops were. He went on the complete other side, probably.
Interesting. Okay.
And also the people, my son-in-law was in the building with my granddaughter, and I asked if he heard the shot, and he said no. So if the people in the building didn't hear a shot, they had no reason to panic or start looking if people looked suspicious.
And I have to point out that is also assuming that the shooter drove away.
Yeah.
Right. Or yeah, if he drove away, or if he walked off campus, or whatever that is, he was not where everyone else was, and so he had a ton of time to pick any exit he wanted.
Yeah.
Before anybody in the building even realized anything had happened.
Yeah, but
so they weren't even suspicious.
Even with a head start, he's on a rooftop. Like, I mean, I'm looking at this, and even if you had keys, it's going to take you 90 seconds to 120 seconds to get the heck out of there. And you don't think with a swarm of students running 200 yards, that's only 2 football fields. To me, it just seems things would get clogged up real fast, real quickly. I've been on the UVU campus. I've seen this exact same spot.
Well,
I've walked these halls.
That's also assuming, which I think Chandler's also trying to make, that's also assuming that this person was easily identifiable as they were walking away. Go ahead, Chandler.
Well, they didn't find the gun. He's walking around with a mop.
We don't know they didn't find the gun.
It's true.
That is, we got to point that out, Chandler.
Well, I was just going to say, you're talking about students, young kids. Their initial reaction is not to be, I'm running away looking at other people.
Yeah.
They're not thinking that at all. They're running to safety, calling their family, and like not paying attention to their surroundings that well. And so he could have easily
they were helping the people around him.
He could have easily he could have easily switched his clothes off pretty quick and blended in with a backpack that matched students. Like,
yeah.
And he was in a building far away.
And that's the sad part. I mean, I'm not a cop or anything like that, so I don't know any of that stuff. But just if it is the suspect on the roof, he was away from the chaos. And I think what made it worse is when that guy came forth and drew all of the attention to the small officers that were there to him. I think gave him another 20 minutes.
Yeah. So it's ironic. I'm doing a documentary on the assassination of JFK, so I'm relatively familiar with then the manhunt that ensued. What's really interesting is, have you heard from any of your friends? I've heard a lot of bystander hearsay. I got a lot of people that are sending me all kinds of text messages, even as we speak right now, about supposedly them checking houses, going to people that might be a person of interest's home, and looking in and checking into that. I don't have any video footage of that, but we did hear they at least got a description of the guy: long plants, black,
aviator sunglasses.
Yeah, aviator sunglasses. With a big bag, black gun bag. I mean, you might as well have just described every comic book character.
I was going to say the Unabomber. Just take the hoodie off and it's the same guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the same dude. So there's a big manhunt underway. Have any of your friends checked in with you since we started live streaming, Chandler, that have been witness to part of this manhunt and seen firsthand how it's going?
I know. So my brother-in-law's brother he was called in on the manhunt. So they are currently, the update is they are currently going from block to block from the campus, basically progressing outwards towards, I think you showed it on the screen, there's like a circumference of a diagram of what they're focusing in on. That's the current situation that I'm aware of from my contacts, of someone on the ground who's an officer in the manhunt.
Okay, well, Donald Trump just made a video addressing this. We're going to play this briefly. Apparently it's very short, so I think it's obviously germane to the conversation. Let's see what he has to say.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith. And we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Okay, so there's official statement by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. At first, I was actually going to say, wow, he's kind of politicizing this, but then I realized he was shot too. If anybody gets a get out of jail free card for that, he gets one too. And is this like the new normal? Like, I guess we've just gotten used to school shooters now, so it's just political assassinations.
Well,
That's just on the table
agree
now.
With you there is that he actually did not mention the assassination of any of the Minnesota representatives. That happened just a few weeks ago.
Okay, that's true. I was going to say, when your ear was ripped apart by a 223, though, I can see why you're pissed in a bipartisan way. You know, like it's kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, I can't expect the guy to be a stoic, but still, holy smoke. Okay, for the now 2,000 people that have just jumped into the stream, Liz, Chandler, I got a lot of people here in the chat that are coming up with their own ideas and theories about the way things went and everything. You described it to us once, and I don't want to just re-drag you through something traumatic, but we have a fresh new batch of people that have jumped in. If you have time, would you be able to describe to the now 2,000 new people that have jumped in what happened, what you saw, any new details you might have come up with while we were talking, and so on and so forth. Liz, you want to go first? Chandler, you want to go first? Who wants to go?
I can go first. I don't know if there's much I saw that isn't on videos. The assassination's on a video. The guy claiming that he did it. I haven't seen the video, but I believe there's videos of him turning himself in and getting arrested. I saw that. One thing we kind of commented on is that there wasn't a great plan of how to get everyone out of there. People just kind of left. But yeah, I hung out. I went back into the plaza area and just hung out for a while and walked around, and there were some people yelling at the cops of how they could let this happen, but there wasn't immediate evacuation. My son-in-law was with my grandson in a building, and so she wasn't there, thank goodness. But he said he did not hear the gunshot from the building. So he was inside a building, and those buildings up at UVU are all concrete, so it's hard to hear anything probably, but he didn't hear the gunshot. So I'm imagining anyone who was in the building with the shooter or by the shooter probably was a while before they knew anything had happened.
Yeah, and I'm getting a lot of people.
He would have a chance to get out of there.
And I'm getting a lot of
calmly walk out of there.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Liz. I'm getting a lot of people that were actually talking about 2 shots and a noise. And Chandler, you can pretty much agree, being very familiar with firearms and having been an eyewitness to this, you're under the impression that with all the concrete buildings around, this was 1 shot and then a loud echo of that
one
shot.
2 echoes. Yeah.
Yeah, which is something.
There was no. It was 1 shot echoes because it went from. It's narrow with buildings. It starts high, shot, narrow with buildings, hit. So once it hit, we heard the echo of the shot reach to where he was.
Yeah.
And there was not a second shot because.
Yeah.
No, there was 1 shot.
We would have like saw, or there would have been a video by now, especially if it's a professional hit. Like,
yeah, those
there would have
concrete
been more
buildings,
footage of like him getting hit again or something like that.
They just bounce sound around.
It's just and
okay.
Yeah, he was unalived on the spot.
Jeez.
Immediately.
Well, all 6 cops that were there, apparently.
According to the university police, just as a recap for some of the people who have just joined us, we did get confirmation from the university police chief that there were around 6 uniformed officers who were on location, which according to Chandler and Lise, most of those were near Charlie Kirk and near the protesters who were actually behind him. So they were actually, not exactly where the shooter was later found to be, as well as some ununiformed officers, as I believe what was said, who were mixing in with the crowd. So you have 6 university police officers that are in uniform. You have a couple of them in the crowd itself. And then you have, Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk's personal security, as well as, I don't know, it's entirely possible that another law enforcement could have been there in terms of the county. We sometimes see that out here, but that is still quite a small amount of security and law enforcement for an event with what is now being said had at least 3,000 people and apparently very low security. We've been seeing reports that, it was a ticketed event, but apparently a lot of people weren't checking tickets from what we're hearing.
Did you have some kind of ticket?
It was a ticketed event?
Allegedly.
What?
Yeah, it was a free ticketed event. You're supposed to sign up online and get a ticket. They probably just wanted to get an idea of numbers. You didn't have to pay for it, but they didn't ask to see it when you got there.
I didn't. I just walked. I gave him a fist bump right before he walked in. Like, it was
not exactly Fort Knox.
I was right next to him walking upstairs. I have a video of it.
Looking back at this, do you feel he was in a safe position at all?
No. I had a call with a really good friend of mine who's a big hunter, and he's like, this is like, he called me after he found out it happened, and yeah, he was like, this is the worst setup with very minimal security on none of the rooftops that would indicate Charlie was ever safe, especially on a controversy of Prove Me Wrong campaign.
Yeah, I mean, we're all talking about, Monday morning quarterbacking here, but we've been looking at the way that this is laid out. And just to recap for people who haven't seen it, this is in an outdoor amphitheater. He was at the lowest point. He was in his little, pop-up tent where only the back was blocked by a tarp. The sides were completely open. The front was completely open. He was in the center of underneath his canopy, so you can see pretty clearly straight into where he is sitting.
And his chair is raised up too.
And his chair is raised up. That's an excellent point.
So you can see him really well.
Which is a great event if you're going to attend it, but
he's a sitting target.
They should have brought isn't there a glass thing? That's what they have to do.
Or like a Pope Mobile situation.
Yeah, I was about going to say.
They put a big glass in front of.
Yeah, this is, I don't know. I will never lay at the foot of conspiracy what can be explained by incompetence. But to me, this is gross incompetence. I don't know. I don't want to armchair quarterback. I want to give it 24 hours before I start disrespecting the airwaves with my unsolicited opinions. But I can't look at this and not get angry. Just not get absolutely angry thinking that there was some kind of catastrophic failure, if not for just how... This is what they made Star Wars about. Anakin, don't do it. I have the high ground. Please. This is... It would be funny if it weren't so angry and saddening and pathetic and tragic. So we're gonna end the stream here. We're already 41 minutes into overtime. I don't want to abuse your guys' willingness as eyewitnesses to this scenario. Please, whatever time you need to take it. We're so grateful that you guys hung out with us. Is there anything you want to say before you go?
I was just gonna say, moments before Charlie Kirk, I know that your channel is also about the church. He was very much associated with not wanting to posit the idea that he was there to contend, and he was saying admirable things about Latter-day Saints and our position and faith. And
really,
he was showing his the last question that was asked, or the first person that talked to him, he was like, I love my LDS friends. I have 2 people, and he pointed 2 people next to him that work with him. He's like, I absolutely love the fact that you guys have more kids than you can afford. I love the fact that you guys send missionaries out and do missionary work with the world, and that you guys serve your fellow brethren and everything that you guys stand for with the family. And I want you guys to know, I'm not here to debate against you guys. And I think that shows his character and how he viewed.
Wow.
And he also called on us to be stronger.
Yes. He did say that too.
He said he needed the Mormons to be stronger.
Wow. What was your sense when you fist bumped him? What kind of person was he? Did you get a sense? Was he pretty cool about it? Pretty charismatic? Just kind of like Ben
cool.
Shapiro?
I was walking up the stairs to go inside where he would have his booth underneath.
Yeah.
And as I was walking up, he came out of the building and he was talking to everyone, super smiley, super energetic, gave me a fist bump. He's like, are you guys excited? Very, very happy to be there and very excited for the tour. And I think the coolest thing that we can recognize is the fact that he stood up for what he believed in reference to Jesus Christ, and I think we all need to do the same. We need to be louder of what we actually believe, and we need to show true allegiance to Christ, that we are Christians by our deeds and our actions. And I think that's what he was commending us and telling us to do more for.
Yeah.
So
if he was anything,
he bore his testimony right before he died.
Yeah.
If he was anything, he was vocal about his Christianity, more so as he got older. Which actually I really do think I'm right there with you. I think that was a phenomenal example. So anyway, thank you very much.
One thing I wanted to add, I was at the Cody Judy thing way back when at the Marriott Center.
Uh-huh.
If anybody knows about that. When the guy came down at President Hunter and looked like he was going to attack him.
Okay.
I was just saying, what terrible luck.
Oh yeah.
To see two of them.
Thank
goodness that wasn't real. But
you seem like a really nice lady, but at the same time, with your track record, let's not hang out.
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, no. It's like that one movie.
I'll be on the cruise, so we're gonna hang out.
Oh snap!
Maybe you'll reconsider.
You've been pre-disastered. Like Robin Williams said. You've been pre-disastered. What was that movie where the airplane crashed on the house when the young couple was looking at it, and he turned to the real estate agent and says, "I'll buy it." And she was like, "What? A plane just literally crashed on a street." He said, "It's been pre-disastered.
It's the safest place to be."
So yeah, I'm maybe you've just been pre-disastered, Liz. Thank you so much for.
So these were his final words. I got. He said, so before he got hit, there were 2 questions that got asked. The first was related to our church, and he said he loved the members of the church and that he was proud that we sent missionaries to teach the gospel, and we need to be more proud of our beliefs vocally. And then he also testified of Jesus Christ.
Wow. Frickin' BA. That's awesome. Similar. Wow. Just awesome. Awesome. We give credit where credit is due. That's just phenomenal. He died practicing what he preached. God bless that. That is a noteworthy, commendable, and noble thing, no matter what. So anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Where can people find you if they want to follow more of you? Chandler.
I have a TikTok and Instagram called Restored Truth. So
okay, awesome. Well, hopefully you guys take whatever time you guys need to decompress and everything. Thank you so much for sharing what you know with our audience. And if you guys want to support the channel and you like what you see, please consider a generous contribution if you're a person of means through Zelle or through Venmo. We are available on both those platforms. Also, we have all kinds of assistance you guys can render us by purchasing a shirt or our popular War in Heaven veteran hats that are available on the wardradio.com store. Also, we have an Amazon wish list full of all the different equipment that we have need of help in the store with, in the studio with. And if you contribute to our channel, you purchase something off our Amazon wish list, there's a note that comes with it that we can read. We ask that you write us a limerick if indeed you do assist. So thank you. You have something to say, Jay, before we go?
Nothing. I just love the limerick thing. I haven't heard that before.
Oh yeah, people use a limerick. This guy did. He said, "When doctrine and Uno collide and house rules are cast aside, this shuffler shall spin till the loudest will win and repentance is shuffled inside." And he gave us we're designing a collectible card game around the Book of Mormon, and he gave us the card shuffler to test out the collectible card game with. And so they wrote us, Mr. Smith wrote us a limerick. So anyway, write us a limerick. Go to the Amazon wish list to help us out. Check out Jade Aubuchon on
KHTS Radio is normally where I'm going to be at if you care about California at all.
And Hometown Station.
And HometownStation.com.
And HometownStation.com as well. For this and more, please make sure you guys check us out, please, at wardradio.com.
I built a rocket in my basement. I'm gonna fly it to the moon.